Shirley Green always believed that life was all about moments of starting over. In her 32 years, she had collected more of these second chances than she would like to admit. As the daughter of local shop workers, she learned early on that life rarely offers ease. At the age of 23, while she was still studying business administration at college, she met Charles, a charming young man. The relationship was intense, but brief. When she discovered her pregnancy, Charles had already disappeared from her life, leaving behind only memories and a child to raise. "One day you will understand that some absences are disguised gifts," she would say to little Dylan, now 8 years old, as she tamed his unruly brown hair before school. The boy had his mother's expressive eyes, always curious, always watching. Against all odds, Shirley finished college. Sleepless nights studying while Dylan slept, work done during lunch breaks at the temporary job she landed at the campus library. Every minute counted in the life of a single mother. It was precisely at the graduation ceremony that her eyes met Andrew Taylor's for the first time. He was there to celebrate a friend's graduation, but left with something far more valuable: Shirley's phone number. Andrew was the kind of man who made anyone feel at home. He had dark hair and a smile that lit up any room. A son from a traditional family, he worked as a civil engineer, building bridges and, unknowingly, constructing a solid bridge to Shirley's hesitant heart. "Uncle Andrew, look what I made at school." Dylan would run to show his drawings every time Andrew visited, even during the early dates. Shirley noticed, with a mixture of hope and apprehension, how her son naturally gravitated towards that man. Contrary to what Shirley feared, Andrew was not scared off by the full package, mother and child. On the contrary, he seemed more enchanted each day with the strength of the woman who rebuilt her life on her own and with Dylan's keen intelligence. After 2 years of dating, they got married in a simple ceremony in the garden of a small hotel in the area. Dylan was the page boy, carrying the rings with the pride of someone who knew he was gaining not just an uncle, but a complete family. However, not everything was rosy. Nora Taylor, Andrew's mother, was a 65-year-old woman whose religiosity defined her worldview. Her hair was always impeccably styled, her clothes modest, and a demeanour that left no doubt about her moral strictness. From the first meeting, Shirley felt the judgmental gaze. "My son deserved a woman without complications," Nora murmured to her friend Evelyn during the wedding, unaware that Shirley was walking behind and heard every cutting word. The relationship between daughter-in-law and mother-in-law remained cordial but distant. At family dinners, Nora always found a subtle way to mention how traditional families are the foundation of society, or how youthful mistakes have permanent consequences. Andrew noticed the tension but tried to mediate as best he could. "My mother is from another generation," he explained. "Give her time." Shirley nodded, swallowing unspoken words and accumulated disappointments, for the love of Andrew and the sake of her new family. It was on a Christmas Eve 2 years after the wedding that everything fell apart. The Taylor family gathered in Nora's spacious house. The smell of roasted turkey filled the room, decorated with twinkling lights and pine arrangements. In the large living room, Andrew's cousins played with Dylan and Nora's other 5 grandchildren. "Car race!" shouted little Tommy, Andrew's nephew, and soon the children were running down the side hallway of the room, where a collection of ancient vases decorated a dark wooden shelf. What happened next seemed to occur in slow motion for Shirley. Dylan, accidentally pushed by 2 bigger cousins, lost his balance and fell against the shelf. A porcelain vase, a gift from Nora's grandmother, tumbled down and shattered on the polished wooden floor. The silence that followed was deafening. I'm sorry," stammered Dylan, tears beginning to form in his wide eyes. Nora entered the room upon hearing the noise. Her gaze moved from the shards on the floor to Dylan's frightened face, and then, like a dam finally giving way under accumulated pressure, she exploded. It had to be her son." Nora's voice trembled, her face turning a shade of red. "What else could one expect from a bastard? What good could come from a single mother who didn't know how to preserve herself?" The room froze. Even the other children, who barely understood the meaning of those words, felt the weight of the cruelty. "Grandma, it was our fault too," intervened Tommy, the oldest of the grandchildren. "We were all running." "That's true," confirmed Andrew, approaching his mother with a serious expression. "It was an accident. All the children were playing." Shirley embraced Dylan, who was now crying openly, terrified by the reaction of the woman who was supposed to represent family warmth. "Mrs. Taylor, I apologize for the vase," Shirley tried, her calm voice contrasting with the storm inside. "I can look for a similar one or reimburse you for the value and—" "I don't want your money," Nora interrupted. "I want you and that boy out of my house. Now, this is a respectable home, not a shelter for anyone." A murmur of protest arose among the family members present. Andrew's older brother tried to intervene, but Nora was adamant. "Mum," Andrew's voice took on a firmness that surprised everyone, "if Shirley and Dylan are not welcome, then neither am I." Nora seemed momentarily shaken, but her pride spoke louder. "Do as you wish." Within minutes, Shirley, Dylan and Andrew were gathering their coats and gifts. As they walked out the front door, a heavy silence fell over the house that should have been celebrating unity and love. In the car, Dylan sobbed quietly in the back seat. "Sorry, Mum. Sorry, Uncle Andrew." "Hey, champ." Andrew turned back. "You didn't do anything wrong. Sometimes it's the adults who make mistakes." Shirley squeezed Andrew's hand, grateful for his loyalty, but her heart was heavy. That night was meant to be joyful, but now they were driving in silence through the decorated streets, looking for a way to save Christmas for Dylan. In the days that followed, phone calls came from other members of the Taylor family. They all disapproved of Nora's behaviour, offering support to Andrew and Shirley. Birthdays, special dinners, and other celebrations began to take place at Andrew's siblings' houses, gatherings where Nora was not invited. For Nora, seeing her family drifting away was like a slow knife piercing her heart. Sitting alone in her spacious dining room, where once voices and laughter echoed, she stewed in her resentment. "They betrayed me," she murmured to herself. "They chose that woman over their own mother." Evelyn, Nora's friend for 4 decades, was her only constant confidant. On an autumn day, nearly a year after the incident, Nora served tea on her porch while pouring out her sorrows. "Not even a phone call on my birthday, Evelyn. My own children are punishing me for standing up for values." Evelyn, a lady with white hair and gentle yet perceptive eyes, sighed deeply before speaking. "Nora, we've been friends for too long for me not to be honest with you." She adjusted herself in the chair, facing her friend. "What you stood for that night wasn't Christian values, it was your pride." "How?" Nora set her cup down with more force than necessary. "You take so much pride in being religious, attending church every Sunday, quoting verses." Evelyn spoke gently, but firmly. "But you forgot the main teaching. Love. That young woman committed what you consider a mistake in her youth, yes. And then? She raised her son alone, graduated, built a career, found a good man, your son, who loves her and the boy too." Nora opened her mouth to protest, but Evelyn continued. "Who are we to judge if someone deserves a second chance? Isn't that what we preach every Sunday? That there is forgiveness and new beginnings? You are so caught up in what you consider moral that you have forgotten to be compassionate." The words hung in the air like autumn leaves. Inevitable. Necessary. Transformative. Nora stared at her cup of tea, seeing her own distorted reflection in the liquid surface. Is this how her family saw her now? Distorted by prejudice and pride? That night, after Evelyn's departure, Nora opened her worn Bible, seeking comfort. The words, so familiar, now seemed directed at her, like a mirror revealing her contradictions. In the following weeks, Nora went through a silent process of reflection. While dusting the family photo frames, she noticed how many recent pictures she didn't have, lost moments, unshared laughter, memories she hadn't helped build. Christmas was approaching once again. A whole year had passed since her family had fractured. With trembling hands, Nora picked up the phone and dialed Andrew's number. "Son?" Her voice wavered when he answered. I would like to host a Christmas dinner here at home for the whole family." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Everyone is invited," she continued, "especially Shirley and Dylan. I need to talk to them." Andrew hesitated before replying. "I'll talk to Shirley. I can't promise anything, Mum." In the days leading up to Christmas, Nora prepared her house like never before. Twinkling lights hung from the eaves, the carefully arranged nativity scene took centre stage in the living room, and the scents of cinnamon and cloves filled every room. When the doorbell rang on Christmas Eve, Nora felt her heart race. One by one her children arrived with their families. Finally, Andrew arrived, and to Nora's relief and apprehension, Shirley and Dylan were with him. Nora opened the door, immediately noticing how Dylan partially hid behind his mother, his eyes cautious. Before anyone could speak, Nora felt her knees weaken. In a gesture that surprised everyone, including herself, she kneeled down to be at Dylan's eye level. "Dylan," her choked voice could barely get the words out, "would you forgive me for being so unfair to you? That vase, it was just an object. You are far more valuable." Tears rolled down Nora's wrinkled face as she turned to Shirley. "And you, my dear. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive this old fool. I was so caught up in my ideas of what is right that I forgot what truly matters. Love and family." The silence that followed seemed to carry the weight of an entire year of absences and hurts. Then, in a gesture of purity that only a child could offer, Dylan stepped forward and touched Nora's shoulder. "It's okay, Grandma Nora. Mum says everyone deserves a second chance." Shirley, with tear-filled eyes, extended her hand to help Nora up. It was then that the coat opened slightly, revealing what Nora hadn't noticed before, a rounded belly of approximately 6 months. "Oh!" exclaimed Nora, her eyes widening. "You are going to—" "I will—" "Yes," Andrew confirmed, hugging Shirley's shoulders. "You are going to be a grandmother again in a few months." Nora covered her mouth with her hands, unable to contain the emotion. A new life. A new beginning. As the family entered the house, Shirley approached Nora and murmured, "You know, when I found out about the pregnancy, I thought a lot about whether we should come today. But then I realized that this time of year is exactly about that, a birth that brought hope and redemption to the world. Maybe this little one," she touched her belly, "is our own little star of Bethlehem, guiding all of us to a new path." That night, as the family gathered around the festive table, there was a new light in Nora's eyes. Watching Dylan interact excitedly with his other grandchildren, Andrew looking adoringly at Shirley, and the future grandchild growing safely protected, she finally understood the true message of Christmas. It wasn't about perfection or appearances. It was about love, forgiveness, and the constant possibility of starting anew. Like the very story they celebrated that night, a humble birth that changed the world, sometimes the greatest blessings come from the most unexpected places. As she raised her glass for a toast, Nora felt a deep gratitude for the second chance she had been given. The opportunity to learn that family is not defined by conventions, but by the love we share with each other. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.